All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everyone for being here for the Ad Hoc Redistricting Committee member, November 22nd, here in the Municipal Building. First off, I'd like to start with introducing the committee members. I'll start at my left this time. If y'all can each turn on your mic and introduce yourselves, please. Push the button on the right.
You gotta have it red, yeah.
Jimmy Atkins, District 8, Richmond County Board of Education.
Alvin Mason, District 4, County Commission.
Helen Minshew, District 10 at large, Richmond County Board of Education.
Venus Kane, Richmond County Board of Education, District 9 at large, and Vice Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee.
Sean Franham, District 7 Commissioner, Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee.
Francine Scott, County Commissioner, Super District 9.
Ben Hassan, Commissioner, District 6, Commissioner.
Harold Jones, Senator Harold Jones, State Senate, District 22.
Charlie Hanna, Richmond County School Board, District 2.
All right. We're missing only three members, Representative Prince, Representative Newton, and Representative Howard, unless they are here and I don't see them. Hopefully they'll be joining us. All right, as we get started, first want to just give a little bit of a sermon, I guess, and then turn it to Miss Lynn for a little bit of feedback, guidance, and understanding as we move forward. Thank you. First off, just want to thank the IT department and the Board of Elections office for what they've done. Basically what they did when these maps came out, the three plans that you did see, they listened. It was the feedback of the community as well as the guiding principles that we that we set here on this diocese. All the plans did meet all the guiding principles that were put together. I think as a committee we've got to determine, we started with the neighborhoods aspect is the focal point. But once we saw the neighborhoods, when we put them all back together, we saw districts change in a lot of different areas. As well as we saw one commissioner mention he had 7 new neighborhoods, and I think that's something that I don't think that we can have in this community. Also, we know that Richmond County has 8 districts, which limit our options, as well as we talked about protecting the core of the districts as a guiding principle. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bailey, if she can kind of talk about a little bit more on those aspects and kind of where we are, and then I kind of want to ask for a consensus on something after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Just as a brief recap, I'd like to bring everybody up to speed about where we are right now. Some of this will be repetitive from what the chair has said, so I will just state that in advance. But we do know that this committee really started its work in earnest on September the 15th, and that was when we received what's called the minimal change district map from the state. From there, we took that plan and the concept of redistricting out into the community and held 4 public hearings on October 18th through the 27th of 2021. So at those meetings, we received public comment, heard from the public. We also had a good number of comments through our citizens portal through our website. On November 17th, 3 plans were introduced to the committee based on community input and guidance from the committee. Those plans were looked at that time. The emphasis on all of those plans was to try, as the chair said, to try and put neighborhoods back together. Some of those neighborhoods were split during the 2012 redistricting, and some were split during the most recent in the draft plan. And so the idea was to try and put some of those neighborhoods back together where we could. On November 10th, the committee passed or amended its guiding principles so that the maximum deviation that would be considered by this group would be plus or minus 2.5% on any one district. You'll recall that deviation is defined as the difference between the actual size of a district as compared to the ideal district size. You'll also recall that the ideal district size is derived from taking the total number of citizens that reported during the census, dividing that number by 8, since that's the number of districts that we have, and that number is the ideal district size. According to the 2020 census data, current districts 3 and 5 are overpopulated, and districts 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 are underpopulated. Districts 1 and 2 in particular are fairly well, heavily underpopulated, with District 1 being -5%, District 2 being -7.5%. So those will need to be looked at and addressed. And then moving on down to District 3, we know District 3 is 21.26% overpopulated. District 4 is -4.36%. District 5 is +1.6%. District 6 is -1.58. District 7 is -1.59. And District 8 is -2.71. So the whole goal of this project is to bring the districts closer together in size. So naturally, in order to do that, there will be some give and take from all portions of the county. As a reminder, at its last meeting, the committee agreed to meet again today. The next meeting following is November the 29th. Next, we had scheduled December the 1st. I would ask that committee members remove that date from consideration. Our friends with the Board of Education will be in training that week and not available to be with us on that December the 1st date. So we'll see where the dates go from there. Please also reserve December the 8th and December the 15th in the event that we need them. The committee has set a goal of finishing this project as December the 15th.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bailey, for that. All right. At our last meeting, we talked about how it's important that we move forward off one map. We have 4, a minimal change, and then 3 plans. Understanding that some of the feedback that we got from the plans 1, 2, and 3 was, I don't think most of the committee that was here in attendance didn't, kind of feel good about them on many different aspects because of people, the additional neighborhoods in one district. One commissioner, we had lots of people moving from different districts across. But I also want to say, before I kind of think where I'm gonna throw it out there, and we'll have the discussion with the committee. But understand, this is about who represents you. This is not about devaluing home cost. There's $1 million homes in District 1. There's $1 million homes in District 3. There's $1 million homes in District 8. District 7. So for people to act like a district change is going to devalue their home, that's entirely not true. Many people, property values have gone up in Richmond County over the last 4 years, and things are going well. So understand that this is not about devaluing your home costs by moving you to a different district. With that said, we understand that not everybody's going to be happy. We understand that there's got to be changes based on the increased population of District 3 and the decreased population of District 1 and 2. And with that, I, as the chair, feel, and I'm going to open this up to the floor in just a second, that going back to the minimal change map is probably our best avenue. And the reason I say that is because, number one, it was the most balanced map that we got. It came from the state. I know it, I understand there's probably heartburn hearing that, but at the same respect, it gave us a starting point that I feel like was probably the best for this committee to get going. Understanding that we can still change the areas of District 3 on the east side for those that are really concerned about that area. But I'd love to hear the feedback of the committee based on kind of that moving forward, because we do need to pick a map and focus on one, and then let's start moving things around based off that map. So I'd like to open up the floor to kind of someone's comments on that. Ms. Minshew?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question is, so we are deciding that we are moving away from trying to put neighborhoods together who had requested such in public hearings. Those neighborhoods, from the 2012 census, as well as the ones that were shown to be divided with the original draft. So is that what we're saying? We're moving away from that basic concept?
I don't think we're, and I'll let anybody chime in, I don't think we're moving away from it. I think we're realizing that we can't put them all back together without seeing drastic changes, that people moving from district to district, I don't think, we hear you. There's been a lot of outcry about that. So I think, is it more important that they're back together as a neighborhood, or they're in the district that they've been represented the last 10 years? And I think that it's been on the far cry of wanting to stay in the same district as opposed to staying in the same neighborhood.
Okay, so that's what public input has come since we put the 3 maps out, is to stay.
That's what I've heard. I mean,
stay
again,
in
I'm waiting on.
in the present districts, even though they may be divided. Is that?
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to try to put together neighborhoods. I mean, understand this committee still hasn't moved anything. The IT department and Board of Education took the feedback of the community. We asked questions and we got understanding last meeting, but this committee has not made a change yet on a map. So, and I'm trying to see who's in. You got to raise your hand because I don't know who's in each seat here. If anybody wants to say anything. Mr. Hanna?
Yeah, I just want to say I concur with what you're saying about the original draft map. It seems like out of all the maps, the 3 maps that came before us, the original map was probably the best representation of what we should be doing based on the law and, you know, what we as a committee originally agreed upon. So at this particular stage, I do concur with your statement.
Commissioner Mason?
Did you put that in the form of a motion? Somebody please? So
yeah, I'll put that in the form of a motion to go with the original draft map as submitted.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of voting raise your right hand in the affirmative. 1, 2. That is unanimous to move forward with the minimal change draft. If you could change our screen to the minimal change draft, as well as the screen on the for the general public. And Ms. Bailey, as we do that, and I appreciate the committee, I still think that because of District 3 being District 3, you know, and we know that's where we have to. At one point, we talked about 310 Butler Creek. Can we kind of zoom into that area and let's kind of dive into District 3 on the
Sure.
west end and see?
I would like to suggest before we, zoom in a little bit more, Alex, please, where we can see Butler Creek. Or is that Evelyn? Is that what? Okay. Okay. Can you point out Butler Creek? Can you point out Butler Creek?
Can you explain again, Lynn, what we can change as a committee, the track basically, and explaining how
Sure.
that works for those
yes,
that
absolutely.
didn't know?
Absolutely. So we have 2 different units here. We have census tract and census blocks. Census tracts are large parcels or tracts made of many different census blocks. So a census block is contained within a census tract. Many census blocks are contained within a census tract, and the census block is the smallest unit that we can move. Okay, we can also move voting districts, entire precincts, as we've seen on a couple of versions of plans that were floating around. But the voting districts, VTDs as they call them, we call them precincts, they all contain unbroken census blocks.
Okay.
All right. So Butler Creek. Can we wiggle a... Yeah. Here. This is Butler Creek.
And can you bring up the stats?
We
for that?
can. We can.
You said we can.
We know to move that portion from Butler Creek south in Precinct 310, It would be approximately 2,543 voters, 2,543. Or not voters, excuse me, citizens, not voters. Now, we also have another area, if you'll pan up, Alex, so we can see the tail over here. You know, this whole area here from this, I guess that's maybe the Fort Gordon going down East Robinson Avenue, all the way down here. That is also 1,873 voters. So it's possible that we can start with the tail area first, and let's see how it looks. That's 1,800. Now, we know we need for District 3, we know we need to relocate.
5,490.
Yes, 5,400 and 5,500 people need to be redispersed, redistributed.
And we also know that the black population cannot change off of 46%.
Ideally,
Yeah.
you know, we'd want to keep that the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that when we go through this. That. So I guess my first question is, based on this, if we were to like chop a portion on this end, do we go back to the other end and look at it as a comeback?
I think that would be a good idea. I think we start working on both ends of District 3. Yes, and start, because we know that Somerville is profoundly chopped up in here.
Yeah.
So to the extent that we can do something to correct things on that end of the district, I think would be very appropriate to do.
Okay. And what is the stats on that 1,800 that you just mentioned? Do you have that?
I do. Of that 1873, it's 570 white, 1169 black. Those would be the non-Hispanic categories on your worksheet.
What was the other number? I got the black. What was the other?
570, and the total is 1873. 1873 total number of voters in that tail area.
And just so I'm clear, what is the number for 309?
As a whole,
No, I heard the whole, the specific numbers in terms of the demographics, black, white, non-Hispanic, and so forth.
309. You should have a document that looks like this,
Right,
and it's got the whole precincts on it, so I'm just going to read directly from that document.
right.
Thank you. Okay, 309. Total population is 4,472. Of that, 688 are non-Hispanic white, 3,043 are non-Hispanic black
Right.
in the entire precinct 309.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So right now we're talking about 5,000 to 6,000 blacks being moved, potentially.
Actually, in this plan, 309 doesn't move
No,
anywhere.
no.
No, we were-
I understand. But you started out. I'm sorry, I said move, but you started out with 309 and 310, and we said we're going to start at 310 first. So those are the two that you mentioned first.
310.
If
So
I said
wanna
that, I
make sure
misspoke.
that we're clear because I'm
Yes.
seeing.
Yeah, 310 only.
Yeah, I'm seeing some faces.
310 only is what
Yeah.
we're talking about here,
310.
not 309. And just that portion right now, just the portion of 310 that's the little tail that runs down the edge of Butts District 8 along the edge of Fort Gordon.
Clarity is important.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so if there was an
So I would say then the appropriate thing to do, if this is something that we're interested in doing, is let's go ahead and make those changes. Bring that part of District 3, the tail area of 310, bring that part of Precinct 310 into District 8.
And the map already does that?
Sean.
Go ahead, sir. Sorry, Mr. Axe.
Being the representative for District 8, I don't like that, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because everything pretty much in the green right there that we're seeing is Fort Gordon. We've already established you've only got, in this last election, last year, a presidential election, you had maybe 100 voters out of there, and you're completely dividing District 8 is what you're doing, because you've got everything on the other side of Fort Gordon, Hepzibah, Blythe, McBean, Goshen, and then you've got to go around. I mean, if you're a person representing that area, and to get to your constituents, you can't go through Fort Gordon. You've got to go around Fort Gordon. I mean, Fort Gordon is a major divider, to my opinion. So to merge that in, I mean, I realize that that's what it butts up against on there. But, I mean, it's just, to my opinion, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then that's going to, and how many individuals was that again, Lynn?
1873.
So right now, District 8 is
1873?
right at the number.
1873 is
So
the,
18, so then you've got to go back into District 8 and take 1873 out.
let's see, District 8.
It was short.
District 8 on this plan is at 0.06 plus. So I don't, obviously it couldn't absorb all of that without taking some out. Yep, that is true. Okay, Alex, can you pan down just a little bit? All right, and we know that you were talking about the Butler Creek area, which is here. So anything we do over on the 310 side, if we took, if as an example, if we took this area and adjoined it to District 4 as an example, it's going to leave this area of District 3 unattached to District 3. So it would have to go, either this part has to go or we can't get to this part if we're going to move from that area.
So it's basically 8 or not moving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to get to it.
Well, unless you go far enough up into, my eyes aren't as good, but right there where it says population 14, down a little bit and to your left, Lynn, almost
here,
eye level, yeah, to get to District 4, and then it connects to 4 and then goes all the way down.
Okay. I see what you're talking about. Now, District 4 in this plan, District 4 is 0.05% positive in the minimal draft plan, which is what we're looking at.
And everybody should have that page in their packet. Just let you know.
Yes, those stats are in your packet. So, do we want to move on from that,
Yep,
or?
I guess so.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Let me,
Commissioner Sine, you didn't say nothing.
yeah, I was in the queue.
Oh, sorry, I can't.
No, ma'am, I think we're getting to stacking and what have you. I mean, the way we're going, and based on the comments just said, as much as I would like to proceed with this, it looks like for the betterment and the sake of time, we've done almost, and I got the changes that I would love to see in District 6. We're at the point we just accept this map as it is and don't do anything and accept the recommendation from the draft map and let that be our position. That's what the committee needs to do, because if you say that they connect to your district, we realize that we have to avoid stacking, packing, whatever you call it, and you object to it for those reasons, and by law you can do that, and we're choosing not to do it. And I'll be honest with you, I do understand us starting in 3, but this map here gives us an opportunity to start practically anywhere and not just back at 3, because this map pretty much has laid out a whole program for us. We don't have to start in 3. We can start and see inside of districts where you can put neighborhoods like together. For instance, like I'm just going to use Commissioner Mason's district, for instance, something like Wood Lake. If it's not together, you can find a way to put that together. So starting back at 3 again puts us all at a disadvantage. And the most likely places that, based on the census and based on the rules of engagement, will give us an opportunity to do just what the map has done. We don't want to honor that. And for me, from what I'm hearing, it's going to make it difficult for me to support anything other than the current map, this current draft that we have before us.
Okay. So are you giving a suggestion to start somewhere else, sir?
No, not really. I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge. But I'd like to throw something out there just to see what it looks like, Lynn. Do give me an experiment, Ms. Bailey. I'm sorry. Take a look at District 6 for a moment. And in District 6, and go to 506. 506 was a part of District 6. That's about 3 streets that moved that. Can you bring that into 6 and give us an idea of what 6 would look like when you bring that in?
Let's see.
Are you saying the south of Windsor Spring to Rosa Road and around, like that whole box?
Yeah, 506, just the whole 506, because about 3 streets really. That's what it was. That was a part of 6. They separated it. Separated it. I'm just trying to see what it looks like. It doesn't, nothing etched in stone. I just from my own.
Okay. Okay, so we were just talking about Precinct 506. So Precinct 506 has 730 citizens there, total population. The non-Hispanic white is 171 and non-Hispanic black is 487. And that's in Precinct 506. So 730 people.
And I'm gonna give you something to take out. That you can hold on to that if you don't mind, and just go to Barfield and take Barfield out. See what that is.
Okay, so put 506 into 6, and then take Barfield out of 6 and put it into 8.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see what something look like. I'll be through with it.
I mean, honestly, we owe it to the people to work, and I mean, we got to keep going at this. I mean, it's going to take time, and everybody needs to have their opportunity to speak and whatever they want to look at. See what we can make it to get it as close as possible to help. Barfield to 8, is that right?
It was on the draft. They brought it into 6.
Yeah, but Bearfield to 8.
Yeah.
And when you say Bearfield, are we looking at just the neighborhood?
Well, whatever it drew into there, I have no idea what you drew in there, because the whole precinct, I think, was big. It's just the point of it, and that's what it identified as Bearfield. Whatever it brought into there, I'm just asking what that looks like, because I have no idea, number-wise.
It's that piece right there. It's 108.
Can you zoom out a little bit, Alex?
Sure.
I think it might be, is this it? This is it here?
Yeah.
This is the block that contains
Yes,
Bearfield?
ma'am. Whatever
Okay,
they put.
so we want to take that back out of 6 and put it into 8.
What's in 8?
It was in 8, really.
We're putting it back in 8. This plan, you'll recall, this plan, the draft plan, took Bearfield out of 8 and drew it into 6. So we're going to take this and change it back green, so it will be in the 8th.
So why is it green on our screen? I think it's...
Yeah.
But now, on this map here, Lynn,
Y'all are, what you're looking at on your screen is not what's on that screen.
Right, but on our screen, it's in 8 on the minimal draft.
But another thing, Ms.
Will you
Bennett,
change
those
them
numbers
to
of
the-
168, it
from the
doesn't work
current
anyway. I
to
had
the
no
minimal
idea what
draft?
the numbers were. I was trying to find out what the numbers are. It doesn't work.
Well, do you know
If he
what the
said
variation?
168, it doesn't work. Just 700 something. Because I
Oh,
was trying to swap it out. It doesn't swap it out.
I don't, it depends on what you're. Yeah, because you're already at 0.12.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
This black line.
Yeah.
Put the colors, if they just wanna look at that big screen real quick, I can put the colors on real quick. On what's the big screen? On the TVs. Okay.
Ms. Bailey, I'm fine. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. The numbers don't work.
Okay, so Alex, let's go, just hang on, we're going to get right back to where your screens are matching. But for now, let's take this area that we've identified here and move it back into District 6. Excuse me, into 8. Okay, and now if we can look at all our deviations. Okay, so
Too big of a adjust. It wouldn't work unless we had.
that we would have to add some more back to 5 because we just took all those people out of 5.
8.
So right now 5 is sitting as 2.61 minus deviation. So we'd have to find a few more people to put in 5 to rebalance that.
But now that gets 6 and 8 both.
Yep.
No,
8's
8's
got to move too.
2.57.
So we'd have to pull somewhere out of 8 because we just took all those people out of 8, out of 6 and put it into 8.
That's okay, Ms. Lady.
Well, Lynn, well,
Every time you touch it, right? Every time you touch it.
What is
I have an idea on 8 there to get it back down a little bit.
Okay.
If you look over where it borders District 1 coming down Mike Paget Highway, what about the strip that would run basically from the intersection of Old Waynesboro Road and Mike Paget down to the entrance to Goshen?
Okay.
That's 8 on one side. That's 8 on one side and 6 on the other.
No, it's 8 on one side, 1 on the other.
One on the other. Now, when we do
used to
that,
be 8.
it will of course make changes to 1 that we might have to
But
go.
one is got a little bit of wiggle room.
One does have a little wiggle room. And we want to go back, remind me, let's go back. I want to go back and look at that Fort Gordon area, that tail down there. This version actually has that drawn into District 8. So we're going to want to go back and look at that.
Ms. Bailey, excuse me before you proceed.
Portion?
The tail, that tail that comes down the side.
When you say going to Goshen, are we talking about where Cross Creek School and everything is at?
No, on the other side of Goshen.
Alex, if you would head,
The
Oh,
Highway
there's two entrances,
56
two-
entrance to
Oh,
Goshen
Because
Plantation
Cross Creek is in 6, and Cross the Street from Cross Creek is 8.
is 8.
That's all you
correct.
said, Old Waynesboro Road.
All
So that's
righty.
6 and 8.
what precinct is the leg? Is that what you were talking about? That area?
That's 115.
This area that's 115? That's this, that Ms. Minshew first dubbed it as the leg.
Where is Mike Paget? Is that the,
where it says District 1, isn't it? Right.
Oh, so it's this pink line here?
right,
Yes, this is Mike Paget.
right. So I'm talking about, and I don't know how it's divided up, but I mean, I know like it's Country Place subdivision.
All right, so this is Goshen Industrial Boulevard here,
Yes.
and then Allen Station Road is here.
So if you
Yes.
take everything north of Goshen Industrial Boulevard to Tobacco Road, basically.
I would say, can we just take the whole precinct? Because that area from Allen Station Road down, it only contains 5 or 6 people.
That's exactly right.
And it would be best, if we're going to move that much of it, to grab it all. And also, the new Senate district boundaries come right along the bottom. It comes right in through here, and it takes that whole precinct. So that would keep us from having to split that precinct.
So what's that look like number-wise if we take that precinct
We
out?
take 115, and we're going to put it 115 into 8.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
We're taking out of 8 going into 115 or going into District 1.
Okay, tell me again where you're talking about then? From here?
Right, no, not that far.
Okay.
Just right there, right around where Country Place is, right where the cursor is.
All right, let's put down our census blocks and let's see what our options are there.
Because you don't have many houses except for, I mean, the area I'm referring to, you don't have a lot of houses except for the Country Place subdivision. And I'm saying there's probably 80 to 100 homes maybe in there.
That move brings District 1 to plus 1.24, and it brings District 8 to plus 1.32 by moving those 2 census blocks into 1. That's within the acceptable deviation range that this group has set. It would be everything. These blue lines on this software are going to represent the boundaries of the census blocks. And so that would represent, it's 323? 323, oh, there we go. 323 total people in these 2 census blocks. Correct.
And will the lower part of that lake stay in District 1 also?
It looks like the whole thing. In this version, in the minimal draft plan, that whole thing stays in District 1. And as I said a moment ago, too, and looking at the Senate plans that were just passed, it takes that entire 115, and that is the southern boundary between Senate Districts 22 and 23. So it's good that it stayed together.
So Lynn, from here it looks like that's a dark purple outline.
Here?
No, over here. Or maybe
Here?
it's blue.
Mm-hmm.
So everything inside of that would go purple. And then up at the forks up here at
Should we rope that one in too?
No, I not necessarily. No, I mean, not if our numbers are where they need to be.
Well, the numbers are, I mean, they're not ideal. They're over 1%. They're okay, but they're certainly within the guidelines that this group has set at plus or minus 2.5%.
That's an area.
That's right. We still got other places to go
Yeah,
to.
that's fact. So, yeah.
We got to start somewhere, and if we get 2 of the 8 knocked out right here, and then go just chip away at
So
it.
save this group.
Mr. Chairman, I started, I don't have to finish it, but for me, based on what I saw and the ripple effect that we're about to experience, for me, you can take mine off the table. I mean, the commission can do what they want, the body can do what they want with it, and I'm back to stick with the original map. Because number one, we may not understand the deviations about it, and another thing, I think even the map that we currently have, the draft, we don't have the 18 plus population. Even with that, I think the draft is a great starting point. But is there any way you can get the 18 point population and age? So we don't have that.
Right, yes, and you and I talked about that earlier this evening. I do not have that report for you. I've requested it from the state. It has not arrived yet.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even with the movement that has happened, we know the broader pictures, but we don't know the populations and stuff, the voting population. Because I have to remind us up here, we are elected officials, and that concerns us as well.
Yeah. That's exactly why we need to keep, plugging and playing and keep working. So.
And just to be clear, Commissioner Hassan, when you say take yours off the table, you're talking about 506, the change at 506?
Well, I was saying that because, number one, I don't want to get into that and we be saying, well, this is where we're going to go. We don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know what the 18-plus population, we don't have any of those things with us now. And if we have an idea of knowing what that looks like, that would do us good. We'll be right back to the next place at the very next meeting if we get that information in between, and what we decide then, well, this won't work either, and we back to this again. So for me, I think what we have is.
So we'll put 506 back into 6?
Yes, you can go ahead and put it back into 5. Put it back into 5.
And 5?
Yes.
Pardon me? And the other change as far as Bearfield goes?
Have to leave it where it is.
Leave it in 6 for now? Is that what I'm hearing?
So does that put
I mean,
5, that's going to still make 5 short, right?
Well, if we undo what we've just done, it's going to make it back even.
So we don't have to worry about 5.
Correct. If we put 506 back into 5.
So right now, so I'm clearing my mind. If we do just what Mr. Atkins asked, District 1 is fine.
If we undo what Mr. Hassan said, then everything is back where we started. Everything's even, Steven. And this is not necessary to even things out, because we have not had that motion in change, the districts, the changes in District 6 back into 8, which caused 8 to need to offload.
But for my understanding, if we do what Mr. Atkins is asking to make that move, are we still good?
Well, I think what I'm saying is if we undo Mr. Hassan's change, move in precinct 506 into District 6, and we take that back and put it in District 5, and then we take back the change that was made where we moved Barfield from District 6 into District 8, then this change is not necessary to balance District 8 any longer, because District 8 will no longer be out of whack if we make that change back from Bearfield. So it's as if nothing has happened whatsoever. Back to the original plan, yes.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you. And I appreciate you bringing forward the back the draft map. The state has done the work. It's been done. The numbers are even. None of us are happy. And that's probably about the way it's going to be. But the numbers are even. We all could sit here and we'll start plugging. As soon as one move, it's going to be something else. And we got to move like that. The work that was done in a non-biased fashion, looked at numbers, and it made a map for us. So to try to dissect that all over again is the issues that we're having here right now. And so short of tidying up this or that, we have a map here. It still has to go up. It still has to be approved by bodies here locally, the states, who knows, maybe a court case. I mean, we got a long way to go here. But this is a point that has been done. Now, we've heard a lot from the community, and some of it was already taken into consideration, to be honest with you, with the draft map, and then there was some that was not. But what I will let you know is, which is what I said on the last meeting, just for an example, in District 4, when we started looking at different maps, I changed and I had 7 new subdivisions. So when we're having people talk about, I don't want to move from this place or that place, how about getting 7 whole new subdivisions in your district versus losing a piece of one subdivision or another. That's huge. And so understand that we all got some growing pains that we're dealing with and will deal with. But here's the deal. Nobody's physical location is moving anywhere. Where you're living at today, whatever the map is, turns out to be, you'll still be living there tomorrow. Your representative may change, but you still have the same neighbors. You're still living in the same spot. Your house is still valued at the same value. You'll just be represented by somebody different. It happened to us in 2010, 11 when we did this, Lynn. And I lost people, people gained people, and so forth. That's how it went. So we don't really need to, in my opinion, get too strung out. Sure, we certainly hearing from our, everybody's hearing from their constituents. But I'm here to tell you today that there's not one set of constituents any more important than another. It doesn't matter whether it's on the south end, whether it's on the west end, East Augusta, or anywhere else. There are no protected classes. And so it's time for us to move and do what we can, but the state has already unbiased, we didn't do it, the state did it. So it would tell me if the state is doing it, it would certainly pass the common sense test, and perhaps it would pass the test of all of those things that we have to deal with in terms of race and that sort of thing, ideal size, all of that is there. And so I would just ask this ad hoc committee, because that's what we are, we're just a committee. We're not the approving authority, if you will. It's got so many levels more to go than that. And for those who are uncomfortable with the plan that we choose, they have a right to be uncomfortable. But the fact of the matter is, all over this county is going to be uncomfortable. This isn't an ideal plan for us individually because we all have our own personal attachments to our districts and to the people that have placed us here. There's no doubt about that. So I'm very aware of that. But in this draft map, we're all going to lose something. And that's what we're really looking at. But we're also going to gain something. And it may be something that's going to be good for this community. It just very well may be, if we give it an opportunity, may be good for this community. So I'm hoping that we can move forward with this map here. And I'm going to make a motion here. I'm going to make a motion that we move forward with this map, this draft map, as the map that will be adopted by this ad hoc committee.
Oh, we got a motion and a second. Still some more discussion, Mr. Hanna.
Yeah. Basically, I was really going to shadow what Commissioner Mason was saying. The fact of the matter is we can dance all day on this floor, and we never get the footsteps right. There's going to be winners and losers, but I think if we look at the broader perspective of what's best for Richmond County, the original plan, draft plan, is as close as that we're going to get that we can move forward with. We've already seen over the past half hour or so, just making one or two movements has made significant shifts, and we're going to be all over the dance floor. And next thing, we're just going to have a mess everywhere. So I support you on that, Commissioner Mason.
Mr. Atkins.
Well, I respectfully disagree. And if that's what we were going to do, we've wasted a lot of people's time. I mean, we should have just come in here the first meeting and adopted it. And if that had been the case, if I'd have known that was what was going to happen when I was asked to serve on this committee, I would have declined. Okay? Because we have the ability to listen to the citizens that elect us of Richmond County to help draw these maps. We have the ability to keep I mean, the biggest group that we've heard from was Somerville, Forest Hills. And we're not even thinking about putting them back together. And if we're going to address the elephant in the room, and I know this is not going to be very favorable, what I'm about to say. But when consolidation happened in this town in the mid-90s, it was drawn to where you had equal representation. After the 2010 census, the equal representation was no longer there, but it was a representation of the county. We had a district, District 6, that stayed on the bubble for a while, and then the demographics of it changed. That happened over time. What we're about to do is we're about to take, and I'll just say it, a predominantly white district, District 3, and it will not be a predominantly white district. And your two commissioners, or your commissioner and your school board member, they may or may not be reelected there. Okay? So, I mean, I'm just saying what I feel. I'm saying what my constituents that have contacted me in reference to this. Now, I've gotten, threatening emails from folks in 309 and 310 about wanting to stay in the 3rd district. I get that. But at the same time, I've gotten, we have heard overwhelmingly from the group from Somerville and Forest Hills, and we're not addressing that at all. And as I stated 2 weeks ago, I wish we'd have never put this map here out to the public before we had a chance to get some input. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Ms. Minshew, and then Ms. Kane.
Is your mic on? Yeah. There you go.
My concern goes back to the fact that we have 4 public meetings to ask our constituents from any district to come and share with us what their concerns were. Okay, we got that. We got a lot from District 3, of course, because it's the one that is going to lose the population. And again, I agree. If we are just going to now go back to the original draft that the state, which was nice that the state did this for us, it gave us a starting point. But after going through and hearing people's concerns and that, sort of makes a mockery of our public hearings. It's like, well, we're going to go through this process and everybody come out and take their time and come to our meetings and be speakers. And then they've given input on the portal. Lots of comments, lots and lots of comments. So what's the point of all that? Well, it's like, well, we're just going to take the easy point out. And we've got neighborhoods that have been in a certain district, maybe 100 years. I mean, they've been a neighborhood together. They've been in this particular district for a very long time. And to say we're just not going to give them any consideration, I really have a big problem with that. And, I think we could make a few changes to try and accommodate that particular area. And I know, 310 is the biggest growth. I mean, you're talking about 25, I believe it was 2,500 people in the area just south of Butler Creek. That's a lot of growth showing just in that one area. So you've got the two extremes of District 3. That's what's under consideration. You've got the southern western part where all this growth is. And I don't like it going down the side like that. I mean, that's just a thin section going down. And then you've got the whole other eastern part of District 3. And somewhere along in there, we've got to work to try and get this population down to what it is in District 3. But just to totally ignore all these concerns of people who, and I don't mean to slight new residents. I am so glad you have chosen to come and reside in the 3rd District in Richmond County. I am so glad. And these homes and these neighborhoods are very nice, very well kept, very maintained. A good homeowners association, yes. But that's also the case in 303, 307, you know, they 302, they have again been there a long time. So somewhere along the way, it has to be a give and take between the older neighborhoods in District 3 and the newer residents, the newer communities. There has to be some give and take between the two of them. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kane.
I was on this committee last time. And the difference between this time and last time, we had a consultant that worked directly with us, which made our job a lot easier. The problem I have is, again, all the growth, and I'm probably gonna make you District 3 folks unhappy and uncomfortable, and I'm, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. Nobody in District 3 wants to move. But 10 years ago, you chopped, you cut, you bled District 4 and 5. And we have lived with it for over 10 years. Now, I can be up here screaming, hollering. My little subdivision is split. And it depends on what side of the road I'm working on, depends on what commissioner. I just deal with one commissioner. And to make it happen. That's what we were doing in our neighborhood for the longest. But for what I think for me, what I resent is when we get to, because it's over here in this area, these people are better than those in the 4th District. And if you move the 4th District over here or the 5th District over here, it's gonna make your property values go down. And you just dismiss those of us that work just as hard as you do. So whatever happens to me on this side of District 3 needs to happen on this side of District 3. Because everybody in this community has been chopped, diced, and chopped up. And for one community, and we heard you, but we can't do what we can't do. Anybody sitting in this room, I can't change the color you are. If you're black, you're gonna be black. If you're white, you're gonna be white. I can't change that. Just like we can't change the numbers. So if we do what everybody wants us to do, we get into doing what is illegal. We're packing, we're stacking. And I think our community is a little better than that. I think we're better than that. It's okay, just because I live in a black community don't mean a white can't represent me, or if a white, you live in a white community, black. If they are for you and supporting you in your endeavors, it shouldn't matter if it's a little purple man with a hole in his head, as long as that individual is doing the job that needs to be done to represent your district. So for me, yes, I hear what everybody's saying, but I'm not packing, I'm not stacking for us to go out here and then for somebody, because no matter what we do, somebody gonna sue, because we love to sue. And then you're not gonna like what the judge do. We didn't like it then, we're not gonna like it now. Because guess what? The numbers says what it is. Now we've heard, well, not everybody was counted. Well, if everybody wasn't counted, everybody need to be blamed sitting in this room, because everybody probably got some family members that wasn't counted. So as a community, we didn't do what we needed to do to square everything up equally. And we got what we got. The numbers dictate which way we have to move. I don't like it that my subdivision is not gonna be put back together. But guess what? I'm gonna make the best of it. the best I can and work with the elected officials that represent us. Just like I've embraced Mason as my 4th district commissioner of my neighborhood. If it's him or whoever, we're gonna work with him to make our community better. And that's what about. Whoever you represent you work with them to make your community better. It's not about any one individual. So that's just how I feel about it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mason, then I've got some comments.
Thank you. I just want to say that I can respect, and I certainly do respect, everyone's comments and their opinions and how they feel. And if you weren't strongly representing those that you represent or that have come to you, then you wouldn't be doing what you need to do as a representative. So I can certainly respect that. But what I also want to make sure that we're very clear about is the fact that the numbers that we're talking and why we're here is because of the census. And the census, as we talked about District 3, since it seems to be the focus, it has the most people, the census number says that 3 is now predominantly black. That's not what I say. It's not what any one commissioner says up here. It's what the census says. And so if your representative turned out to be African American, so be it. If it turned out to be something different, so be it. That's America. That's why I defended this nation for 20 plus years, for us to have the rights to elect, vote, and do those types of things. So I think we're focusing, when we say that we didn't address what people have said when they come out, I think we have, because when you listen and give an opportunity, and then you as an elected official have a responsibility to be as fair as you can possibly be. So to say that we haven't done anything, actually we have, because we've heard from people that say they don't want to move out of District 3. We've heard some people from either side say that they don't want to move out of District 3, or they do. But I've also heard from the commissioner from the district. She wants to keep 309 and 310. That's what was said to me. And so when you say the representatives, we've got to take them into consideration as well. But then when you know you keep 309 and 310, you know you've got to lose something. It just doesn't stay there. So if we gonna talk, let's get real serious about this thing. And as we go through this portion here, I got to just keep making mention of this. There's no physical move. There's no physical move. So if there's not a physical move, what exactly is the problem? If there's not a physical move, what exactly is the problem? And so we out in the South Augusta area, 4, 5, and 6, have dealt with tremendous change. Tremendous change. And we've dealt with that for over 10 years. So if we're going to be fair, let's be fair across the board. It's somebody else's turn now. That's all it is. It's somebody else's turn. When the growth comes the next 10 years, it'll be somebody else's turn then. But we don't keep chopping and dicing those same ones who sacrificed on the last go round. Everybody gets a fair shot at this. I'm gonna say it again, there are no protected classes. There's just not. And if we're still in that mindset, in my opinion, we are way behind the power curve. This is 2021. No protected classes. So we've got a situation here to where we clearly saw when we tried to move pieces, everything else changed. There's no way to move and everybody's going to be happy. There's just not. The work has been done. This is what we have. Yes, we did listen to the community. And after listening, you just saw very clearly, you tried to make a move or two, and we're right back. We agreed that we didn't agree with the other 3 maps. And we can't change the numbers that the census stated. We can't pack, we can't stack, we can't crack, we can't do any of that. And so I'm going to end this with this. Like I said, I absolutely respect. And for you not to go to bat for your people would be wrong. But at the same time, understand that we have suffered for a long time as well, and we're no different than anybody else. We're no greater than, but we're no less than. We're all supposed to be equal. So let's share this wealth. And I made a motion already. I don't know if it's going anywhere, but I did make a motion.
We'll get there in
Thank
just
you,
a
Mr.
second.
Chairman.
Thank you. I mean, obviously, I'm disappointed only because I feel like we should keep working. I supported the map because I felt it was the best starting point based on everything I said. But I do think that we have the opportunity to do some better things to continue to work on it. Ms. Lynn, I have one quick question because I just want clarity on this. In District 2, this map, based on the census, it was 69% black, and now it's 65%. And I thought we can't do that. I thought we can't dilute the minority vote like that in a district by 4 percentage points.
Would you tell them?
The draft that it looks like they're going to be.
So just to reiterate, you're saying that in the current structure with the new district lines,
Yep.
District 2 is 69.82%.
And then the one that we're talking about, it says 65.12.
Right.
So how can that work? And the reason, and again, I'm going to bring that up because we talk about District 3 when there's a 3% difference between on that end where we could have worked District 2 to a higher percentage and made 3 back where it would be, basically the same. And I'm just trying to understand that. Because I think that's against you can't dilute the minority vote like that.
Mr. Chairman, actually, you're not actually diluting the vote because there are a number of factors that are taken into consideration. With the draft map that you have here, the courts look at a number of factors. They look at the shape of a district. They look at whether or not you're sticking to your guiding principles. So all of those factors are taken into consideration when a court is evaluating matters of vote dilution or packing or stacking. So basically what I'm saying is this map right here, there's not an issue legally that I see here.
Even though the numbers are based on census to the map, there's that drastic between 2 districts of changes in percentages of demographics.
And you're talking about the map that we received from the state reapportionment office, correct? Yeah.
I mean,
so they've checked all of the categories as well. And so they would not have presented a map to you that would be questionable legally because they have a metric that they stick to as far as the technicality of a map, whether or not it's technical, it meets all the technical guidelines that they've set up. Yeah.
Okay. Again, I just feel like we should keep working because we can still make small changes that make big impacts and help people instead of just I feel like we're just giving up because we don't want to work, and I get it. But at the same respect, like, we're elected to do this. We're elected to hear the people, and I hate that we're just going to vote today and move on. So, all right. Any other discussion? Anybody else have any comments before we vote?
To make sure we get it 18 and above information. Other than that, I'm ready to vote.
You want that even if it passes?
Yeah, still want it.
Okay. But your motion is to approve the.
No, Commissioner Mason made the motion.
Your motion is to approve the minimal change map, and just like this committee's done. Is that what your motion is?
My motion is to approve this map as the map to move forward with.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Commissioner Franum.
Yeah. Yes, Mr.
I would respectfully request a roll call vote, please.
Okay.
Can I have I have a
Ms. Minshew.
clarification. Okay. Mr. Mason, you're saying your vote is to go with the original draft and move forward with it. So what do you mean by moving forward with it? I'm just asking for clarification, that's all.
Okay, so that we're clear. I'm on the record. I want to make sure that she can hear me. My motion is to adopt the minimal change draft map as the map to move forward with. When I say forward, with the map that I choose for us to use as the map for the ad hoc committee.
To be sent on to the state.
Well, it's got to go to each. It's not going to go directly to the state. We've got.
But the process starts.
Right, the process gets started.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's saying no more changes.
Yeah.
There are no changes.
All right. So we're gonna have a roll call vote based on the minimal change map. I will turn it over to Ms. Bailey. You're gonna read each person's name and then handle it for me.
Okay, I'll start with Mr. Atkins.
No.
Mr. Mason? Commissioner?
Yes.
Ms. Minshew?
No.
Ms. Kane?
Yeah.
Mr. Franum?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. Hassan? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay, that does pass on a 6-3 vote. All right. Thank you to the IT department for all your work and all the maps that y'all provided, all the IT support that y'all provided. I want to thank the committee as well. And we'll now pass these on to each of your respective bodies.
Ms. Chair,
Ms. Minshew.
I just make just a comment. When this comes again in the next 10 years from now, I think maybe it'd be best if we just had the state do the map and move on from there, because this process that we have gone through has been since, I think, the end of August, numerous meetings, much work on behalf of the county IT staff who did a wonderful job, so time-consuming, and trying to get public input in that. I think, I would say 10 years from now, just avoid all of that and take what the state hands down to us and leave it at that. Thank you.
That concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Evelyn, did you put color into that minimal change map? Like in one, two, all right, so if I look it up online right now, I can see it. Come over here, Jimmy.
I supported this map on it, but the one that brought it up.
And I've got access to all this, right? It's on this side.
If it didn't work, like, if I'd have voted for it, then like, I would have been going, I've been like, why did you do it? I mean, because we didn't vote, we didn't.
There you, that's Tom. He's right there.
Now my head's gonna be chopped.
That was added